do you have like a time that you need to get back, or are you good, or what?
No, I didn't realize that there was a set bathroom break because I ran really quick to go pee during Dan's first run through of his Prices Retro games. And so thank you for recapping, because I didn't hear any of it because I was peeing.
That is hilarious. And I did not know that you did that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Okay.
Made it work.
Throw that at the front of the show.
The show must go on. The show must go on.
Welcome to RetroLogic. I'm Dan Caporello here with John Cummins. And this week we've got my brother from the same mother, Adam Caporello, here to talk with us about just a plethora of things. We're going to do a nice little deep dive into the Ocarina of Time. We are going to talk about how we're doing with Crossplay. We're going to talk about the Xbox 360. We're going to talk about Super Mario Bros. 3 selling for $156,000, which is money. So first, John, how are you doing? How is everything?
Fantastic. Enjoying some Black Friday sales early.
Yes. Early Black Friday. I think everybody's like, you know what? Nobody's going to come into our stores. We might as well just start Black Friday now. And Adam, you are also here. What is the deal with your life and things?
I am here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My life. Well, I didn't realize we were going to get that deep that quickly, but
we start deep and go shallow.
That's a perfect trajectory. I like that quite a bit. I mean, obviously I've got the dad life going on, which is perpetual and amazing, but, trying to fit in as much, gaming as I can where it fits in my life schedule, working on music as usual. And, life is good so far, considering we're in the midst of a global crisis. I couldn't really ask for a better time in the midst of an apocalypse. So that's as good as any of us can do right now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and also let me just say how cool it is to have you on the show with me. It's just super fun because we hang out in real life a lot, but to have you kind of be part of the whole RetroLogic thing, I'm honestly super excited to have you here too. And speaking of your music production, you're the one who made our chiptune style Prices Retro intro. So thanks for doing that.
Oh, yeah, that was, honestly, first of all, I was concerned. I was like, aren't they going to run into some sort of copyright issues if they were going to use the actual music? But it actually turned out to be right. We won't tell anybody. It turned out to be actually a little bit more challenging of a project than I thought it would be. But there's some kind of jazzy chords in there, and it's an old recording, so it's hard to kind of hear the little. And then when you translate, horn section into 8-bit sound waves, it starts to get a little bit weird. So it was definitely a challenge, and I was happy to have some left field weird challenge in my music production catalog, and I enjoyed it, and so I'm glad y'all like it, and it sounds really great coming through on the podcast. So thanks for asking me to do that.
It's perfect, and thank you for being the one to try to translate jazz into like chords, and I don't even know how you do what you do. It's amazing. It blew me away, and it's so cool.
I do need to give credit where credit is due. There are a lot of amazing chiptunes artists out there that actually use the original hardware to create the music that they do. And they deserve a lot more credit than I do, because all I'm doing is sort of recreating the way that those sounds are made with a software-based virtual synthesizer within the Apple Logic software. But there are crazy artists out there that are literally creating music using original Game Boy hardware and NES hardware, and that completely blows my mind, and I would be completely lost with that. I feel like I'm cheating doing it the way that I do it. Yeah. But it was just a fun little project, and I'm glad it worked out for the podcast.
Good. Well, awesome. Well, I've got just a bit of house cleaning to do here first, which house cleaning? I don't know, whatever.
House cleaning.
Just some logistical things to go over. So RetroLogic is the official podcast of Block Fort Retro, which is my online retro game store. Go check it out at blockfortretro.com. See if there's anything you like. Starting Wednesday, I'm going to be doing Black Friday sale, which will be buy one, get one half off everything in the store. So you can go there now and just see what you want to get. And then at midnight on Wednesday morning, you can go and snag your deal if there's anything there that piques your interest. Also, we have a giveaway to announce. I was giving away a Game & Watch, Super Mario Brothers Game & Watch. And I'm just pulling up my thing here. So I have 11 entries, including one from you, Adam. So I'm going to now do
that. Would seem so like rigged if I won that for some reason. So please don't pick my name.
Okay. It's not rigged. I promise you. I'm pulling up a random number generator now. And we are going to pick a number between 1 and 11 and go. And the number is, okay, you did not win, Adam. Congratulations. The winner is at TogoBap on Twitter. TogoBap, you're also
TogoBap.
Yeah, he's going to be excited.
I love that guy.
He's also in the Nintendo Dads, part of the Nintendo Dads family. I think he's on the RetroLogic Discord as well. So congratulations. You probably are listening to this and you already know, but another super fun congratulations. I'll be reaching out to you on Twitter and in Discord later tonight. Congratulations. I will be shipping that off to you later. So everybody else, stay tuned to my Twitter at BlockFortRetro for more giveaways. And also don't forget to go check out Black Friday at Block Fort Retro. I am now done with the sponsor thing, which is kind of a weird place to be. Like, I'm the sponsor, but I'm also the host. It's like I get to pay myself. I don't know. It's weird. It works now because we're small. It probably won't work for long, but we're just going to keep rolling. So let's do our icebreaker, guys. Adam, since you're our guest, why don't you chat a little bit about what you've been playing lately and what you think about it?
Oh, such a weird variety of things. Yeah. Well, trying to keep it retro because this is the theme of the podcast. Mm-hmm. For some reason,
the titular
I got
retro.
I got really caught up in Mario's Picross, and I have no idea how I got caught up in playing it, but I am hooked. And it must be the whole logic puzzle thing because I really like crossword puzzles. I like Sudoku, but this Mario's Picross that they released on the NES Online on the Switch, I love it, and it's so much fun, and for some reason it kind of helps me wind down for the day. I play it at the end of the day, and it kind of puts me in a mood to just, shut out all of the illogical things of the day and just focus on something, logical and finite for the end of the day, and I can fall asleep. So that is definitely something that I've been playing a heck of a lot of. Other than that, I have been dabbling in the idea of purchasing Shadows of the Empire on Steam so that I can play through that again, because I don't personally have a Nintendo 64 to play through that, in what purists would consider the proper way to play that game. But I think because I do have the Steam Play, I believe it's called, where it actually hooks up to your TV. So I'm gonna try that out and see how that goes. Because I don't feel like mouse and keyboard is the proper way to play that game.
Oof. Yeah, that'd probably be rough.
Yeah, I feel like just with the way that the controls are, they're a little bit floaty as it is.
Yeah, they're rough without a mouse and keyboard. I can only imagine with.
Yeah, so I want to try to do that.
When it launched, it was N64 and PC, like way back in the day. So I'm sure that there's some way that they made PC controls like work, you know, because they wouldn't have. I don't know. I feel like it's different enough. You know what I mean? Like, why would they have launched it on PC and had it be like the inferior version?
Well, it's not necessarily that it would be the inferior version. It's just the way that I'm used to playing games, and the fact that it's, you know, a flying game as well as a third-person shooter. It kind of goes back and forth between. Well, there's another expense that I don't need. You know what I mean? Trying to keep my expenses low here.
Yeah.
So I do want to play through that with the crossplay thing, which I love. I have been playing Hearthstone, there's been some controversy around that lately with the new reward system, which I don't want to beat that dead horse. But I've been playing that. I've also been diving back into playing through the entirety of Shadow of the Colossus, which for a long time I believed and now has confirmed my opinion that is probably my number one favorite PlayStation 2 game.
Wow.
I've toppled 7 of the Colossi so far. And it's just, even with the really dated graphics at this point, by the way, I'm playing the PlayStation 3 version, which is supposed to be a little bit
prettier.
A little bit prettier.
Yeah.
But it's still obviously quite dated in the visual department. But it is so engrossing, and they just did an incredible job of making you feel so inferior to these massive, you know, whatever they are, you know, part beast, part architecture, part spiritual, something or other, and overcoming every obstacle to take down these massive beings. It holds up to this day, even 20 something years later after it came out. So I'm really enjoying playing through Shadow of the Colossus again. And it's just confirming what I've said for a long time, which is that is my number one favorite PlayStation 2 game.
So with it being your number one PS2 game, where do you just feel it places in like your top 10 games of all time? What number would you give it, do you think?
That is probably almost impossible for me to quantify.
Well, just a rough estimate then. Just where I want to know where it fits with you.
Oh god.
Maybe 7.
And this doesn't have to be exhaustive. Just, you know, just a throw a number out there and see how it feels.
It's more than likely in my top 20 games of all time.
Okay.
For me.
Top 20.
That's the best I can do. I could probably never actually go through and make that list definitively, but there's probably a top 20 group. It would be easily in the top 20. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, good. That's a good list. That's a good little. We did talk a little bit about Shadow of the Colossus early in the early days of the podcast. I think it was one of the games in this day in gaming history. But you know, I loved watching you play it when we were kids. I always thought it looked super great. I never actually picked it up to play it. So maybe we'll have to do that with you. That would be cool.
What's funny about that is now my older daughter, who's you know, now getting into video games herself and has her own favorites, and you know, she's getting into certain genres and stuff like that. She loves watching me play it, but I tried to get her started on her own file. She's still too scared to play it herself, but she loves watching me play it, which is, you know, almost equally amazing. Just to be able to experience that with her.
Backseat with. It is really great to watch. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Adam. All right, John, give us your short list of Black Friday like crazy purchasings.
I bought a few retro games. This one is not retro, but I bought Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. Actually, I pre-ordered this. It just didn't make it until today. Shipping is horrible here lately. You never know when you're going to get something.
That's true.
And then I
That's
also
like 4
purchased
days
Game
late.
& Watch Gallery. Oh, yeah, it was bad. I've been wanting to play it and been watching everyone else put up their little personal snippets and reviews on it, and I haven't even got to touch it yet. So,
well, you're lucky. You're lucky. This is a retro show. I won't spoil anything for you here.
Yeah, thanks. I picked up Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the Game Boy Advance, so I've finally completed my Game & Watch console game or handheld game collection. I don't own any of the old actual Game & Watches, but I have 1, 2, and 3 on the Game Boy, and now I got 4. I played a little bit of that. It's pretty zany. I like it. And then I picked up Borderlands for the Switch finally.
Yeah.
I think I told Dan that I was going to wait till this one hit 20, and then I was like, I just might as well buy it. It's been sitting at 30 for so long. I'll just go ahead and grab it.
Yes.
And then
See, I bought that too under the guise that me and Dan would play co-op, and that has yet to happen yet. So I feel a little bit slighted because I bought it with the clear intention that we were supposed to play that together. So I'm still sitting on my purchase of Borderlands, and we need to play it, Dan.
All right. Okay. Next time there's a lull, all three of us.
I was going to say,
will get in. We'll start a fresh file of Borderlands 2, and we'll jump in. We have to do it.
Let's do it. Sounds great.
I'll have to download it,
Love
right?
it.
Isn't that the one that's on the download code?
Yeah, it's a pretty big one too. So
I should have room. I might have to. I always have to go in. I do so many first looks and stuff. I have to remember to go in and archive all those stupid things because they'll just eat my SD card alive. And last but not least, I got the Final Fantasy VII Remake for PlayStation. Finally, I have not played any of that. I didn't even play the demo that they put out. It's almost a shame how little I play my PlayStation since Xbox and Switch. Game Pass is kind of makes it really easy to try a lot of things out, and then if I like them, I'll usually go back and pick it up on Switch and play handheld.
Yeah, that's a lot of options if you've got all three of those.
Yeah,
a lot to play.
I've mentioned, I've told Dan about this, but I just had the 2 for the longest time. I had PlayStation 4 and Switch, and then got an Xbox One last year for Christmas time at Black Friday. I bought one for my kids to have as a family gift. And we play a lot of Game Pass games on there.
Yeah.
And as far as what I've been playing...
Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll do that real quick. So I did a first look on Jurassic World Evolution, and I actually got kind of sucked into that game. It's like a kind of a world building simulation game for Jurassic Park, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to at first. I kind of got it thinking that I would play a little bit, do a review, and then see what my son thought about it, because I think he'd already played a little bit of it on PlayStation. I think they had a demo or something for it, and I haven't even let him play yet. I've been playing it.
My gosh.
Yeah, so that one's good. I don't know if I could. It'd be a hard sell at $60 to get some people into it, probably. But if simulation,
I'm interested.
It's good.
Yeah, I'm interested, but not for 60. It would need to come down.
It does come with. It comes with like $100 worth of additional content. Like if you were to buy it elsewhere, it's the complete edition, so it has all the expansions and all the DLC included. But yeah, it's still at $60. It's a 3-year-old game that, coming to Switch, you're going to take a little bit of hit on visuals. And that game, I mean, it looks fantastic. I think they did a great job with the port. But $60 is still a lot. And then like I said, I played Game Watch Gallery 4. This game is hilarious. There's a boxing game on there where you play as what is it? You play as Luigi, and you're boxing, and you box what's the worm boss in Mario called? The Wiggler. You fight a Wiggler first, and then you fight a Boo, and then you fight Waluigi, and then it kind of goes through those a few times, cycles through difficulty wise, and that was a lot of fun. I played that for quite a bit. And then there's another one on there too. What was it? There's one where you face off against Donkey Kong, and you have like a little water gun, and you have to keep refilling your water gun, and the object is you're opposite sides of each other, and there's items that are kind of coming down the middle of the screen. One of them is a Boo, and the other one is like a fireball, and you have to kind of spray them with the water gun, and it pushes the items over to the other person, and eventually it damages them. But it's just little things like that. I didn't play this one when it originally came out, so I'm kind of getting a fresh look at it, and it's been a lot of fun.
That sounds hilarious.
Awesome. That's great.
I love
those old Game & Watch
games
games are really silly.
Simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Okay. Cool. I'll run through what I've been doing lately. I picked up Age of Calamity as well, but I got it on Friday and I've been playing it all weekend. And I'm not going to talk about it too much other than the fact that I love it. It's super fun. I really enjoy the Muso games. They are very, very pretty button mashers. That's my little review. So if that sounds good to you, then good. Other than that, I did a little bit of Black Friday shopping, but not for myself. Square Enix's online store had a pretty crazy sale going on. And they had a bunch of sealed PS1, PS2, Xbox 360, DS games. And I'm like, I don't really want any of those for me, but I know a certain retro game store that might use some of those. So I picked up Deus Ex Human Revolution sealed for the Wii U. These are all sealed. They're all brand new. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time for the DS. Final Fantasy X2. Final Fantasy X. Final Fantasy 12. Front Mission Evolved for the 360. And then Kingdom Hearts 2. So just a ton of sealed PS2 and Wii U and DS and Xbox 360 games for like a few bucks a pop, like $2, $3, $4, $5 a pop for those. So that was kind of a no-brainer. Like, yeah, heck
that's
yeah.
crazy.
So I think all that stuff.
The Square Enix store had sealed PlayStation 1 games and stuff like that.
Yes. Now all the
That's
PS1
nuts.
games sold out like immediately. Like
because they only had 3.
They had Chrono Cross and Final Fantasy Origins and something else, and they were all gone already. So I picked up PS2 stuff because that was still around. But I mean, like, yeah, that was bonkers. So
they pull all those PS1 games out of like a closet and blow the dust off of them.
They fire somebody and they're going through his desk and they're like, oh, he's got a bunch of sealed, Final Fantasy X. Or I might just throw them up on the store or whatever. $2 a pop. Yeah, ridiculous.
It's great.
I mean, the market's a little bit flooded with those games, so it's not like they're each going to sell for $50, $60 or anything, but they'll sell more than $2 or $3 in a month or so. So that's good. And what I've been playing is, besides Age of Calamity, is a non-retro game, which is called Super Hot. I'm sure everybody knows what Super Hot is. It's a first-person shooter, but it's kind of more like a puzzle game. And time only moves when you move. So like you can be standing right. Yeah, it's weird. I'll try to explain it. Like, so you can be standing right in front of somebody and they've got a gun pointed at you, right? But they're not going to fire their weapon or move or do anything until you physically move. So you have time to like move your body out of the way of the direction their gun is facing and react. Now that also puts you in kind of some precarious situations because you might accidentally like walk in front of a bullet that isn't there yet, but they're moving really fast. So, you like, when you move out of his way, there's somebody else who's attacking you that you didn't see and they're getting you. So you really have to be very aware of all of your surroundings while you're like slowly, meticulously making your way through all of these like mini fight scenes.
So where are you playing this at?
Huh?
Where are you playing this one at?
That's on Stadia.
Okay. That's
one of the free Stadia Pro games right now, which is all that I'm playing on Stadia for now. There's actually a kind of a funny dynamic with playing it on Stadia because usually Stadia is solid, but like if I'm playing at home on my phone, it can get kind of wonky. And the way the whole like story of Superhot is that you're playing a computer program and it'll like glitch out. And so sometimes I don't know if the game is glitching out in game or if Stadia is glitching.
If it's an artificial glitch or if it's an actual glitch.
Yeah, exactly. So, which kind of adds a fun little element of surprise. Like,
life imitating art.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but all in all, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's kind of like the fun of a first person shooter without having to be all twitchy. It's super like methodical and puzzly, which is really, really satisfying. So if you've never checked out Superhot and if you like first person shooters at all, you'll enjoy it because you still have that kind of like cover shooter strategy. It's just very strategy oriented. So kind of cool.
Well, and this one cool. The look of it, this one's not photorealistic, right? Isn't this the one that kind of has like wireframe?
Oh, no. Yeah, it's an indie developer. It's very wireframey, like stylistic.
Polygonal wireframe characters.
Exactly. Yeah. And it gets really glitchy in game. So it looks really, really cool. Like it's very artistic and very nice to look at. All the people look like they're made of fragmented glass. And so when you shoot somebody, it's like everybody's red. So when you shoot somebody, it's like you're breaking glass, where there would be blood, there's glass falling. So it's kind of a really cool, like visual. You just kind of have to look at it and see it for yourself because it's really interesting.
One more thing.
So you can go on and play that right now on Stadia for nothing. Or I think Stadia Pro, you still have to buy Stadia Pro to get access to it. But I don't know. Go on and check it out.
So I'm going to give a quick update on, I said I would last show, but because I hadn't received my copy of Wario Blast. I did play
tell
this
us all about Wario Blast. I'm so curious.
I forgot to mention this on things I've been playing because I did fire this one up finally. It is a Bomberman game where you have the choice of playing as Wario or Bomberman. And so I chose Wario because I can play Bomberman in any Bomberman game. And it's literally just a Bomberman game where you're playing as Wario and the other enemies are Bomberman. I couldn't remember. I played it earlier.
That still sounds great, by the way. That sells it for me.
Yeah, it does.
Well, the sprite work on the Game Boy is even really good. Like with Wario, he looks very well done, and the maps look better, less generic than normal Bomberman. So that's a little plus too. But yeah, it's still just Bomberman. But I love Bomberman, so it didn't bother me any. I played it for a good hour or so.
Awesome. Cool. I would love to check that out because you know how Bomberman is just I love Bomberman. So let's, John, quickly, you and I jump into Crossplay. We'll just chat about how it's going, and Adam, you can jump in too because you have played both of these games. John, why don't you go first since you I'm really curious how Shadows of the Empire is going. Because you were loving it last time I talked to you. So I'm wondering if that sentiment has changed at all.
I'm still enjoying what I'm playing. I'm definitely seeing some of the I've been playing a lot more of almost all the missions have been the third person shooter from the point that I stopped playing last time. And I did stream for about another hour, and I made it almost to the end of part 2. So
what level?
I beat the Ord Mantell Junkyard, which I might be pronouncing that wrong, but I made it through that level and had to fight IG-88 at the end. And I'll tell you, that guy was crazy.
That's a real boss battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at first I didn't realize that when I die, his health stays the same. It doesn't go back. Like, it doesn't regenerate the boss fight again. You're still playing the same boss fight. It just starts you in the same place. Because whenever I first died, I got him taken down. I only took him down like 25% the first time because I was still trying to figure out where I could go on the map. Because that's not very clear either. You're just a pile of junk in the middle, and there's a few areas. I found some platforms up above finally that I could get up and kind of get away from him for a little bit, because he likes to get right in your face and shoot those. I don't even know what kind of weapon it is, like a pulse cannon or something, and it just melts your health off.
It's the worst gun in the whole freaking game because it like drains your health, and it's horrible.
But yeah, so finally beat him. I think it took me 3 lives. It was a lot more difficult than I was expecting, and that's where it kind of hit me, like the controls. Like it's not easy to navigate that little junkyard area and try to. And if you watch the stream, you can tell I had a lot of troubles very early on in that fight, but I made it through that one. And then it gets even worse. The going through the Gall Spaceport, it's the train level basically, and you have to jump from cart to cart. And man, the physics of that game are crap. Like, you'll go to jump, and the train will move underneath you, and you'll just be out in the middle of nowhere, and you just fall to your death. I don't know how many times I did that. I think I had to go through a game over on that one actually, and start again at the beginning of it.
Yeah,
but I finally managed to get through that level and got a jetpack and started using the jetpack for the first time and figuring all that out. And I made it to a spot, I think, towards the end of that level, right before you fight Boba Fett, I'm assuming, because that's who you're looking for. But I didn't quite make it to him. And there's this one spot where you jump out of a doorway and you literally can't see anything where you need to go. So I just jumped out, took some stabs with the jetpack to try to see if I could find a platform somewhere. And I finally found a platform way off in the distance. I got to try to figure out how to get to on the next stream. But so far I've been enjoying it. It's definitely a challenge. And I've been streaming on original hardware too, so still playing with the limitations of the
That's
N64.
cool. I'm glad you're doing that. It's not that it's tough. It's tough for dumb reasons. It's tough because of the controls and like because of the camera, and like it's not like challenging. It's like stupid. So I get really frustrated with that game. It's
we'll see if I make it through it. I'm gonna try, but man, it's gonna be I think if I can go on the same pace that I am now and do, because there's only 4 parts. So if I can beat the boss once I get to him on this level, I'll be halfway. And if I can continue and finish part 3, that'll set me up for the following week to be able to finish before we do a recap show on the whole thing. So that's the goal. We'll see if I make it.
Our recap show is next episode, right?
Is it next episode?
Yeah, I think we decided.
Okay.
So please don't feel obligated to finish Shadows of the Empire. Please don't. Like, I want you to have hair. Okay.
We'll see how the next stream goes. I'll see how far I can make it. I might even do that tomorrow during the day sometime.
Adam, thoughts on Shadows of the Empire?
Well, it's been so long since I've played it, but a lot of those same frustrations that you're voicing brings back memories. The controls are on the floaty side for sure.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to traverse these little skinny canyon paths, and you're not 100% sure where the next enemy is going to come from or where the next jump is that you're supposed to make. And it's a lot of trial and error, which, gets frustrating, especially when you're on original hardware and you don't have save states or anything like that. So, I'm recollecting a lot of frustration, but it's been probably a good, 20 years or so since I've played it. So, but it's funny how those frustrations stick in your memory, where it's such an engrossing game because, it's the Star Wars universe and it's a lot of characters and locations and the music that draws you in and makes you feel nostalgic. But it's so frustrating sometimes just to do some very basic traversing of the levels. Does that make sense?
That's my thing. It's like, it's not the high points in the game that are difficult. It's like jumping from one platform to the next. That's where you die 12 times.
Jumping from this moving
and it's
train
usually
cart to
trying to get those challenge points.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mentioned
I don't
that I was
have
not
to
going to
get
go
that
for
challenge
those.
point.
Yeah,
but now I want to, because F you, game.
Right.
All right.
Good.
Good. Well,
I started off collecting
been...
all those and then just quit. I was like, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't do them all.
Not worth it.
Nope.
No. So I have been continuing my journey with Star Tropics, and I too have I just got to a place where not even save states and rewinds can help me, because it's just the most frustratingly stupid series of enemies and rooms that I just always die. And I'll rewind a little bit and try to get past it, and I can't figure out how to not get hit. So it's just like, what do I'm going to keep hitting my head against the wall and playing it, because this is what we do. This is crossplay. But I doubt that I will get much further. I want to see how far I can get. It's not a long game. It's just that I've reached that NES game challenge place where my will has to be stronger than my comfort.
You've hit the part where you have to get good now. Otherwise you won't go any further.
Now I have to get good at Star Tropics or I will forever be shamed. So I think it's in chapter 3. It's just some random cave too. It's not even like a real boss battle cave where it's just like a random cave to get across this mountain, and there's a lot of enemies in there. So it's just, I forget what I'm even doing. There's a girl that's asleep and I have to wake her up by going to the top of a mountain, something like that.
Sounds like
that game.
Led Zeppelin song.
Game is, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Overall, I'm really enjoying what Star Tropics is. I think it's in the upper echelon of NES RPGs for sure. I just hope I get past this one point. That's my hope for Star Tropics. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I have a lot of good
it.
memories about it. I played it when I was a kid. I remember playing it at 8 or 9 years old, and it felt like a spiritual predecessor or a spiritual successor to Legend of Zelda. And, having played the original Legend of Zelda, when it came out and everybody was talking about it, Star Tropics was kind of the next evolution of that style of gameplay. That, it wasn't just combat. There was exploration and puzzles involved and things like that. So for me, I have a lot of nostalgia surrounding the game, but there are some very deep frustrations there as well. And whether that comes through, missteps in game design or just limitations of the hardware, who knows? But I remember getting incredibly frustrated at various points in that game. So I want to dive into it again, but I'm a little bit hesitant because of those things. I don't want I don't want to sour my warm nostalgic feelings of that game by trying to play it again and realizing that it's a pile of crap.
Yeah,
I don't want that to happen.
Most NES games end up being that way.
Unfortunately,
it's like, man, these were a lot of fun when I had infinite amount of time to get good at them, and now that I want to just play through them at my own leisurely time, they're not as fun.
Just watch a Let's Play. Just go on YouTube and just watch somebody who's mastered it. Just burn through it. That'll give you the same feeling.
See, that's not fun to me, but I get it. That's fun for some folks. It doesn't do it for me, but
I haven't had to look up any more walkthroughs for Star Tropics, so that's good. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot that like you need to go figure out. It's just kind of all right there in front of you. I only had to do that one time early on to like figure out how to open a door, and now I know how to open every door. So,
it's the same.
Anywho, let's do some Prices Retro. Okay, so in case you don't know how to play Prices Retro, we have each of us created a list of 4 or 5 games and their prices, their current price value from pricecharting.com, and the other 2 of us are going to guess the total value of that list of games, and the closest wins a fabulous prize, which is kudos from the rest of us.
Bragging rights.
John, are you ready with your fancy spreadsheet, you technical wizard you? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, you have your choice being our guest. Do you want to do your list first, or do you want to do your list last?
Ooh, let me go last.
Okay. You seemed like you had something interesting there, so I'm going to let you go last. All right, I'll go first this time, because I rarely go first. My list is Star Fox themed, so shouldn't be too difficult, but there is one little twist in here. So the first one is, get your fingers ready for counting. This first one is Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, complete in box. It's a very important detail. Complete in box price. The next one is Star Fox Assault, also complete. That's GameCube. Star Fox Assault. The next one is Star Fox Command for the DS, also complete. And the last one is the not for resale variant of Star Fox for the Super Nintendo.
Oh, geez.
Tricky. I didn't tell you it was hard mode, but I threw a hard mode one in there just for you, John.
Thanks.
All right.
So,
get your numbers in your brain and let me know when you've got one.
And you said Command, right? For DS?
Star Fox Command. Yeah, I'll go through them again real quick. Star Fox for the Super Nintendo, Star Fox Assault for the GameCube, Star Fox Command for the DS, and the not for resale variant of the Super Nintendo Star Fox. And these are all complete except for the not for resale, which was not available as a complete box. And I have actually the story of the not for resale version of Star Fox. Usually the not for resale cartridges are pack-ins, like it came with the system, but there wasn't a pack-in. So the not for resale Star Fox version is exceptionally rare because it was a kiosk game.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a not for resale version of Star Fox, that was originally in a store kiosk. So it's pretty rare. That's my little clue for you. So it's not too hard. Anybody got a number yet?
I'm going to say 200.
Okay. Adam, you have a number?
Yeah, my best guess here is 155.
All right. So let's do my total. Let's do the totals. We do the totals per. Yeah. Okay. So the total is $340.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
I way undershot that.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guarantee you it's going to be that not for resale one, huh?
Yeah,
I
it's probably
tried to give y'all a
$200 game.
hint. I tried to give you a hint. That was a tricky one. Okay, John, your turn.
All right, so my list is, let me pull it. Okay, Dragon Quest V complete for the DS. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle complete for the GameCube. Crazy Taxi complete for the Dreamcast. And Castlevania Bloodlines Loose for the Sega Genesis.
Oh man, that one could go either way.
All right. I'm going 150 for that lot.
I'm gonna go 110.
All right. So the total for my lot was $184.
Dang!
Ooh. I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, no,
Shoot. Yeah,
he
you were
right
closer.
on it almost. All right.
I wonder what I messed up on.
So, yeah, after we get done, we'll go through our lots price real quick.
Yeah, once we have the winners, we'll go through all the price of each game. Okay, Adam. Yep. Hit us.
Okay. I put a lot of thought into this. So, keeping with the theme of crossplay, I have Star Tropics for the NES, complete in box, which hopefully would include the letter that came with the game.
Gosh.
And we talked about this a little bit on the Discord thread.
Yep.
The game came with a letter that you would, it fleshed out the story a little bit, but you would physically dip the letter into water to reveal the code that would let you continue the game. So Star Tropics NES complete in box.
I had heard at some point that there was a period of time where games were including things like that purposefully to make them almost impossible to play as a rental, because there was a whole debacle between Nintendo and rental places.
Yeah. I think I've heard that too.
I heard that it was more of like an anti-pirating scheme.
Oh, maybe that too.
Try to prevent pirating, not so much rental, but
sure.
Either way, this would be Star
those.
Tropics NES complete in box.
All right.
Okay. Got it.
Next one is Electroplankton for the Nintendo DS.
Gosh.
Oh, geez.
Complete in box. The weird, little
like a rhythm
music
making game. Yeah.
It's kind of like a little music creation, performance art thing. They did a big demo of it when the DS was new. Electroplankton for the Nintendo DS, complete in box.
Now, if I remember correctly, the only way to get that game was to order it from Nintendo. I don't think they sold it in stores. Is that right?
I'm not 100% sure about that. I bought it pre-owned from EB Games when that was a thing.
I might be thinking of something else. I mean,
you could be right.
Okay,
you could be correct about that. I don't know. All right. Next game is Steel Battalion for the Xbox.
Oh, for crying out loud.
The original Xbox. Now, this for reference, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Steel Battalion was a first-person giant mech simulator.
Yeah, they had joysticks and controls for it.
Yes, it came with a massive 40-plus button special, tabletop controller with buttons and joysticks and dials and knobs.
Command center. It had foot pedals and everything. I remember it.
And there was an eject button on the controller too, and if your mech was about to explode and you didn't hit the eject button, your game would delete your save file and you would have to start from scratch.
Was that Capcom? Was that like
That was
friggin-
yes. That is 100% Capcom.
Yeah,
That sounds like
that's what I was
friggin'
about to say.
Capcom.
So Steel Battalion for the Xbox,
Friggin'
complete in box.
Early 2000s Capcom bullcrap.
Is that with all the?
Yes.
Oh, it had yeah, complete in box
jeez.
has
Complete
to be.
in
There's no
box.
other way to play it.
Well, yeah,
That's true.
Gosh,
Okay. Final game is the legendary Gotcha Force
Okay.
for the Nintendo
All right,
GameCube.
jeez.
Complete in box. Do
It
I
just-
even need to elaborate on
No,
what Gotcha
you
Force?
don't.
Okay.
We've talked at length on this podcast about that. Amazing.
Love Gotcha Force.
I love it.
Man,
I'm so mad about it.
Steel
That is
Battalion
my lot.
is the man. That's got to be crazy expensive now.
It does. It is crazy expensive. Okay.
I'm gonna say-
I have my number.
You got it. Go ahead. You can go first, Dan. I'll let you go first.
All right. I'm going to go $920. John, hit
I'm
me
gonna-
with your best
I'm
shot.
gonna go 750.
Okay. It's a bit of a gap there. So, okay, Adam.
Actual retail price of this lot $857.
Ooh, we're like it's like right between us. Oh, we're gonna have to do some.
I think
math on
Dan
that
was
one.
closer, but
Yeah, Dan was
you
closer.
both had some excellent guesses.
Man,
Probably way better than I would have done.
Steel Battalion kind of threw me off because here's the thing about Steel Battalion. We couldn't give the damn thing away in like 2005 when
Yeah.
Right?
when I was working at Game Crazy, and we'd have it set up for people to play, or we'd have it in the box sitting on a shelf, and it'd be like, here's a $200 game, and everybody's like, what is this?
Why would I buy this?
You know, so it would like discount and discount and discount, probably eventually sold it for like $40. And now, like, I guess $300 on that thing, because it's gotta be like astronomically expensive. I don't even know.
My brother-in-law has one. So that's what I remember. I remember
Yeah.
playing it or watching him play some too. But yeah, that thing's got to be crazy expensive if you have the complete, like all the peripheral things as well.
All right, John. So
So-
give us the numbers.
So Dan has a glorious total difference of 137.
Whew.
I am at 247. And Adam is at 219. So that
Yes!
makes Dan the winner this week.
I take it home.
Hey, you won
Take
your
it
own
home.
game. Good job.
I did. You know, I'm good
Hey.
at this. Hey, it's John's
you won
game.
the game that you invented. Oh,
John
okay.
invented it. Okay. I'm just good
Yeah,
at it.
and he hasn't won in 2 weeks, so he was really wanting that win.
That's true. That's true. Oh, thanks for bringing that up, John. Okay, so,
So-
let's go through each of our games.
Yeah.
And just kind of get a good idea of what we're working with here. Okay, we'll go in order. So I'll go first. Star Fox for the Super Nintendo Complete is a $45 game. Star Fox Assault for the GameCube Complete is $30. I'm gonna give you change. I'm just gonna give you like straight dollars. Star Fox Command for the DS is a criminally low $12. Star Fox Not for Resale cartridge is a $250 cartridge.
Wow.
That's the one that
Yeah.
got me.
Yeah, 100%. I
'cause
would
with-
not have expected that.
But those not for resales, they're hit or miss. Like I have a couple. I've got a not for.
I tried to give you all a hint.
I've got a not for resale Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, and it's not as valuable as you think it would be. So it definitely
depends
wasn't
on
figuring
why
250
they
for
have-
that.
Yeah, it depends on why. Like if it was a pack-in with a console, it's usually not.
Well, yeah, Fusion was not
So-
a pack in.
Right.
That
Oh,
would have
really?
been
Okay. I don't know.
I don't believe
Retail.
so. I don't think you would have bought Fusion with that. So it would have been a demo at a Best Buy or something or
Retail
GameStop.
store. Yeah. Interesting. All right. Go ahead, John.
All right. So my first game was Dragon Quest V complete for the DS. This game goes for $76 complete.
Whoa.
Oh, there's my
Yeah,
I guess
Sonic
30,
Adventure
so
2
that would
Battle.
be my
Oh man, all those Dragon Quest games for the DS, they're all crazy price now.
I don't know those.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle complete for the GameCube is $30, and I had to say
close.
Battle because that was the GameCube version. This game is a lot more if you have it on Dreamcast. Crazy Taxi complete for Dreamcast, $18. And then Castlevania Bloodlines Loose for the Sega Genesis is $60. So,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
yeah, that one's a pretty pricey cartridge itself.
That
I
was
was
more
way
than I
low
thought,
on
too.
all of these. Yeah. I was pretty low. I guess 40 on Bloodlines because I just felt like it could go either way. Those Sega Genesis games are either like garbage or they're very, very expensive. So I gave it toe jam and earl pricing. That's what I did.
Your lot's the one that killed me on the price.
Yeah. I tried to give y'all a hint. I don't know how else to have helped you with that. All right, Adam, give us your totals.
All right, so the rundown is Star Tropics for the NES complete in box is $47. Electroplankton for the Nintendo DS complete in box is $32.
Oh, I went way over that one. I thought it was like 60 or 70.
Yeah, I would have thought that one was more, but I just
Yeah.
I wanted to bring attention to that game just because it's so unique and silly.
Definitely.
Okay, Steel Battalion for the Xbox, $388.
It's kind of where I was thinking 4 on mine.
Yeah, me too. I was pretty close on that one.
And amazingly, even more expensive, Gotcha Force.
Freaking heck.
Another another Capcom game. Gotcha Force for the GameCube, the only system it was released on, as far as I know. Complete in box, $390.
It's gone up, Dan. You're going to have to buy a copy.
They re-released that game in Japan. They re-released it. The Japanese copy of that game is like maybe $100.
Yeah, I was
80?
looking at that when I was researching the prices.
And it just makes me so crazy.
How much do you have to read in it?
I cannot buy this game for $400 is so much freaking money.
The complete Japanese release of Gotcha Force is $64.
Yeah, because they re-released it. Just come on, Capcom, for the love. I just want to play it. Okay, I don't want to own for collector. I just want to play the freaking game on my GameCube. I'll play a
they'll
remake
release
on the
it
Switch.
on remake. Yeah, as I say, they'll do a remake
I'll
on the
play that.
Switch, and the price of Gotcha
freaking
Force will get cut
Ever.
in half.
Nobody's ever gonna make that freaking game.
If you just want to play it, the loose disc by itself goes for $150.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
Only 150, man. Come on.
I could
What's
sell.
funny
I
is
could
listed
sell.
here is-
Listen, I could sell Ribbit King and buy that, but I refuse.
You could. Gotcha Force is amazing to play by yourself. Ribbit King is what you play with friends. So you choose friendship over isolation. So just look at it that way.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's also
We've
local
been going
multiplayer, so you can't play it with anyone right now.
Oh, gosh. We've been going at this for about an hour, so we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be doing This Day in Gaming History, a little bit of news, and a very fun and festive community question. So stay tuned. As if you're going to leave, you just continue to listen to your podcast. back, and thanks for coming back. Just thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into things. This is This Day in Gaming History, November 23rd. The first one that we're going to talk about is 15 years ago today, the Xbox 360 console dropped like a hammer in 2005.
It was actually yesterday.
Oh, that's
Feels
right.
like
That's
it.
right. Yeah, we were.
Yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday.
It was, yeah, because we were supposed to record yesterday, we didn't today, so we decided to talk about it anyway because it's pretty big deal. The Xbox 360, November 22nd, 2005. So, yeah, John, were you in at launch at the Xbox 360?
I was not. I was going to say this is kind of a weird one because this was like a very staggered release for this generation of consoles. Like none of today the last two major console releases for the big two have been almost like a week or two apart, seems like.
Right.
And this one, the 360 jumped out like a year and a half before PS3 came out.
I think it was a year before only.
It was at least a year.
But they really tried
crazy
to push it out, and that I think that's what led to that whole Red Ring of Death thing, was because they pushed it out too quickly.
Well, I mean, remember the last time that a console did this, it ended a company in the console market with the Dreamcast.
Yeah. That was 2
But
years.
Xbox survived.
And actually, I think they were, I don't remember if they were trying to compete or like they didn't know that another console generation was coming so quickly or something. It seemed like it took them off guard and they were like, okay, well. But anyway, this is not a Dreamcast chat. This is Xbox 360 chat.
I always have to bring the Dreamcast in.
I worked at Game Crazy the year after the 360 launched. And so I was around for like a bunch of the really big games like Halo 3, Ghost Recon, Advanced Warfighter, which I played a ton of on the demo kiosk in my store. What else? Crackdown, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Halo 3, obviously the highlight there for sure. I remember going over to one of my friends' houses who was like all in on 360, and they had done like the whole LAN party thing where they hooked up two Xbox 360s and it was 4-on-4. Man, just I don't know what it is about Halo, but they just kind of nail first person shooters, and it's like unquantifiable why. They just nail it. It's great every time.
I mean, just the controls are really tight, and
yeah,
the multiplayer especially is really well balanced, and they worked really hard on that, and it just goes back to Bungie being really innovative and a hardworking. I remember playing the Marathon series on our Macintosh Performa computer back in the 90s, and those were like mind-blowing first-person shooter games, and hardly anybody remembers those games anymore, but that was basically the that was like the primordial soup that became Halo. Those early Marathon games, and there was a whole series of them, and they were excellent first-person shooters, and I played the crap out of them on our barely capable family Mac computer. Right. And, that became the basis of, you can see a lot of the same motifs and, art style and things like that in the Halo games that came out of those early Marathon games.
Yeah.
Now, was
awesome.
Bungie owned by Microsoft at the time?
Yes.
No, this was pre-Microsoft.
That's what I.
Oh well, no, I mean, sorry. I thought you meant at Halo when Halo was a thing, not Marathon.
I was gonna say, even when Halo came out, the original, was Bungie a part of Microsoft at that time? or were they just producing a game for Xbox?
Yeah, no, they were a second party developer. So they were licensed to develop it exclusively for Microsoft. I don't know that they were ever like a first party developer for Microsoft. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that's what I thought, and I could be totally wrong. I thought they were owned at one point, and then they were sold, but I'm not 100% sure how that works.
They might have been. I don't know the timeline on that off the top of my head, though.
Because I remember they broke off,
the other
and that's
game,
why 343 Studios got
that's right.
Got Halo.
The other game that sticks out in my mind as a purely like just awesome Xbox 360 experience was Lost Planet. Speaking of Capcom games, I don't know if either of you have heard of this game or played it.
Oh, just yeah, I played it on PlayStation 3, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, just the original launching on Xbox 360 was just such an eerie, like it almost gave me Metroid Prime vibes, but it was a third person shooter. Just such a fun, like eerie, like super moody third person shooter on an ice planet. I just remember having tons of fun with that game.
Capcom again.
Yep.
Capcom again. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I have kind of a funny Xbox 360 story.
Go for it.
I was the store manager of an EB Games at the time when it launched. And obviously, along with most other major console launches, they were in really short supply, and we would get maybe 6 at a time, and there would be people just waiting for them. You know what I mean? So one day we had this guy kind of, waiting around. We would literally have people waiting for our UPS truck, even if we had no clue if we were actually going to get consoles that day. Mm-hmm. And so this guy was kind of waiting around, and, UPS truck came, and I was there, trying to handle all the craziness, because not only did we have pre-orders to fill, but we also had people that had already gotten their consoles but had problems with them. So we were trying to replace, bricked consoles or broken consoles early on. There was kind of a lot of problems with them. And this guy had been waiting for a long time. And my third key at the time was trying to help this guy. And so he was like, yeah, I want to buy an Xbox, and, the controllers and everything. And he spent a lot of time with this guy, just, asking a ton of questions and, trying to figure out what games were the best and all this stuff. And just, really, really selling the fact that he was really interested in all of the peripherals and stuff like that. So kind of off guard, he was like, he had the console ready and he was ringing everything up. And the guy was like, hey, can I take a look at that? Speaking of the console itself. And he was like, yeah. And he had it up on the sales counter and was looking at the back of it. And the guy picked it up and he said, all right, later, boss, holla back. And he ran out the door.
Oh my gosh.
With the console unpaid for. And I look over and I see this guy running out the door with an Xbox 360 under his arm. And my third key looks over at me with this look on his face like he had just seen a ghost. And literally the only thing I could do was just start laughing because it was so ridiculous. And so I kind of I hurried out the door, and I saw him run across the parking lot and hop into a car that I guess had been waiting there, and they drove off. But oh my God, I will never forget that as long as I live. This guy just playing the long con, talking up my one of my employees, just like asking all the questions that he could possibly muster about this system. And just in a momentary lapse of judgment, the guy just handed him the console to look at while he was in the process of ringing it up. And the guy ran out the door with it. And at the time it was a $300-$400 console.
$2 to $3, I think. Yeah. 200 for the core and 300 for the like elite or whatever.
It was madness.
That is ridiculous.
Another funny thing about that console cycle was the whole, it seems so silly in retrospect, but the Blu-ray versus HD DVD war.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
How the 360 had a, I think it was a $200 add-on peripheral to play HD DVD movies.
Yep. Made
So
by
And
cheap.
meanwhile,
Toshiba.
the PlayStation 3, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's something that we don't really remember, and we would, sell the HD DVD. I think it might have come with, or was heavily pushed to sell that first of the Peter Jackson King Kong movies.
Yep.
That was like a big, oh, this is the big HD DVD movie. This is going to change your mind. And HD DVD blows Blu-ray out of the water. And, you could probably pick up an HD DVD player for 10 cents this day and age.
I don't know. I wonder if they've come about as a collector item yet.
Oh, like collecting beta tapes or something, like the
Oh, yeah,
failed
there's
formats.
Yeah, at some point it will become a collector's deal because there won't be very many of them left. There probably not very many working ones. Because that there wasn't very many sold, or they would have
Right.
won.
Yeah, that's true.
But I was at a yard sale and there was a guy that had a bunch of them. And he's like, "You got an Xbox 360?" I was like, "Yeah, but I don't have a HD DVD player." Said, "Sorry, man, I ain't buying any
Awesome.
of these."
Ridiculous.
I'm just looking
All right,
on
well, that's-
Amazon.
Yeah.
People are selling Toshiba HD DVD players for $40.
Yeah.
So
The
they're
market's
definitely
not
not
there yet.
in the. Nope. It's going to go
That's
the
our
way of the laser
that's our
disc.
mini. Yeah, that's our mini deep dive into the Xbox 360. I mean, yeah, that's cool. Let's get into the meat and
That was part of
potatoes
it.
here, though. Let's get into something that's really just Ocarina of Time. 1998, November 23rd, 1998. Ocarina of Time drops, and it is to this day just heralded as one of the great video games of all time, to say the least, honestly. So yeah. I didn't have a really big reference for what Zelda was when all this was happening. I kind of grabbed it a little bit later, and I remember watching you play it, Adam. And I think the infamous water temple was where we just kind of stopped. We just stopped. Right. And so yeah, that was
the
like
water
an
temple
early,
was
early
difficult.
memory.
It
Yeah.
was okay. So I was 16. You would have been 12.
Yeah.
And I was at that point where I was kind of losing interest in video games a little bit. I was 16. I just got in a car. I started playing in rock bands, and I didn't have as much time for video games. And Ocarina of Time sucked me back in so hard and so deeply that I have not crawled out of that to this day, because going from playing the original Legend of Zelda as a kid to, let's be honest, only kind of slightly improved experience with Link to the Past. Going from that to a fully realized 3D world in the same way that Mario 64 just completely blew your mind the first time that you played it. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time created a world where it's the first time in a game where I was forced to learn patience. It takes patience to traverse Hyrule Field and to really stop and try to figure out these massive puzzles in these deep underground dungeons full of traps and puzzles and random enemies and craziness. And it just completely sucked me back in to the world of games and what they can do in your psyche. And that shift from losing interest in gaming altogether almost to being sucked back in, that has held to this very day with Ocarina of Time. That's what that game did for me.
Yeah, wow. It was definitely a much later infatuation for me, because I don't know if at 12 years old I just didn't have the capacity to really understand why it mattered. Mario 64 hit me like a ton of bricks. That was like, oh, video games will now never be the same ever. But it wasn't until a little bit later that I got my hands on being able to play Ocarina of Time. And I think it was the first time that a video game made me feel dread. Like, it's the first time where I was like, oh, okay, this is like very haunting and scary and weird and just very unsettling. Not to the point of being disturbing, but almost so, like being in bed thinking about like Hyrule Field and at night, and suddenly you're surrounded by enemies, and it's just like, oh, like this is real weird and creepy. But just wanting to push further and see more of it. And just how well they translated what Zelda was, which I had no experience with. This is my first Zelda ever. So it's difficult for me now to go back and play a link between worlds. Link
Did
to
we
the
forget
past.
what we were talking about?
Yeah. It's difficult to go back to A Link to the Past or the original Legend of Zelda, because the 3D Ocarina of Time was my first traversal. So yeah. So John, what about your the first time you played Ocarina of Time? Do you remember it? What was it like?
So the first time I played Ocarina of Time would have been at a friend's house. And I played quite a bit of this game through bits and pieces of time, not actually owning it until way later. And so to me, it was even to the point where I didn't even know the full story, because I would go over to a friend's house and play a piece of it that he was playing, that he was stuck on or whatever, and we would pass the controller around trying to get past something. So I didn't get a true feel for how great this game was until I was probably in high school. So probably a good 6 years later, because I didn't get my N64 until like 99 or 2000, and then it would have been even after that. So, but I played quite a bit, and I remember playing it as the beginning of, you start out as young Link, and I remember playing that, and then I remember going over to my buddy's house, and he had made it to where further in the game where you become adult Link, and I was like, what happened to Link? I was like, he was like a little kid. So I got the story in so many little bits and pieces that I couldn't even quite put it together at first. So it was just, it still amazed me though, because I did play A Link to the Past, and I mean, Link to the Past was quite a good jump from the original Legend of Zelda, just in its complexity. But I totally agree that going 3D was definitely the moment where Zelda just kind of expanded to a point where it was just a phenomenal thing at that point with Ocarina of Time. I mean, it's one of those where those two games are the ones that most people that put Breath of the Wild aside, Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time are usually people's first. They're number one game in the series. So they're both very memorable, and they're both first for a lot of things. So
yeah, we did our top 10 console Zelda games with Andrew from Nintendo Pals on this podcast, and Ocarina of Time was barely beat out by Breath of the Wild, just barely, which is interesting for a retro podcast. But we had a whole conversation about why, and we all kind of agreed on it, and it's it just kind of speaks to how even between now and then, games like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker and even Breath of the Wild, which is a total departure from the normal Zelda formula, still kind of needs to hold a candle somehow to Ocarina of Time, and how like everything is sort of judged against it. So it just kind of speaks to how well it was, how good it is, honestly. Yeah. So yeah. Any final thoughts on Ocarina of Time?
Yeah.
Well, you touched on Breath of the Wild, and what's really interesting about that is and I was reading an article about this, and I hope I don't misrepresent it, but when they were in the very, very early stages of developing Breath of the Wild, they had actually kind of created a rudimentary version of the game using kind of an original NES Legend of Zelda style engine.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea was, going back to the absolute core of that game series when, Miyamoto came up with the concept, where it came down to the whole just exploration and mystery, and you don't quite know what's around the next corner, and what's in this cave and all that kind of stuff. And so a lot of people talk about Breath of the Wild like it's this huge departure from the Zelda formula, but what's actually even more interesting is the fact that it's almost going completely back to its roots in a more free and unrestricted way.
Yeah, it's become full
and
circle.
So,
That's
and
true.
I kind of think about Ocarina of Time in a similar way, where it's the first time that we took something so engrossing and epic as Legend of Zelda and translated it into a 3D world where, nowadays we think of the physical world within Ocarina of Time, and it's kind of big, but it's not that big of a deal comparatively speaking to what we have now. But at the time, it was like, this is a massive world.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's around the next corner. And even if you think you know what's around the next corner, it might be very different the next time that you go around that corner. And it just completely blows your mind.
Well, it was pretty
when
open.
you're, especially when you're young,
Yeah.
anywhere between the ages of 8 and 16, you're just like, what is going on? Your whole world is shattered because all you've played with these little 2D sprites, and now you're entering this fully realized 3D world, and your mind is blown.
That, I think, too, speaks to
Especially
what I
once
was
you hit the
talking about
water
earlier.
temple.
Right. Well, what I was talking about earlier about how eerie it was, part of that is because of the element of mystery, where it's like, you can go to a lot of places when you first boot up that game and get past, the forest temple, and you're out into Hyrule Field. It's like, well, now what direction do I go in? And I don't think that experience, I don't remember that experience ever before in a video game. What direction do I go in? Especially in like a 3D, you know what I mean? Like in the original Legend of Zelda, sure, but I hadn't played it up until that point. And so being in a 3D world like Mario 64, except not having like a roadmap right in front of me, or choosing to not do that roadmap and go over here first or go over there first and hitting a wall or trying to see where the walls are. Wow. I mean, it just, yeah.
It invites you to kind of test the limits of the world itself.
For sure.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if Nintendo wanted to try to do, even more open worldness with it, but had to stick to the linearity of the game due to physical limitations,
Sure.
Yeah, clearly they wanted to do more, but the hardware limitations were what they were.
Like, I think I like to think they started with the Hyrule Field and how open that was, and liked that aspect of it. and then you realize that Hyrule Field, in the way that it's made and it's generated as openness, is probably like half that game cartridge.
Right.
Half of its processing power to be able to, populate that whole area at the, all the time visibly. When you go to a dungeon and you go from one room to another room to another room, it makes it a lot easier. You're not processing near as many things. So,
right. That was the big shift is, with The Legend of Zelda and even with Link to the Past, it was almost screen by screen. You know what I mean? You would go from one screen to the next screen, and the world was divided into however big your TV screen was. That was the increment that you were able to view the world. But when you enter Hyrule Field for the first time,
it feels endless.
Just it felt like this is a totally different dimension that I'm entering.
Well, and you could look around and see Death Mountain, Hyrule Castle. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like in Turok where there's 10 feet and then there's fog. Right. It's like, no, I can see where I'm going to go. That might be like an in-game mile away. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Totally.
And that kind of became a running theme in later, larger Zelda games where, especially in games like
Wind Waker,
where you can literally see these landmarks in the distance that, I defeated that. And there's like this sense of accomplishment when you're just kind of traversing this massive world. So that was first introduced with Ocarina of Time for sure.
Yep.
Well, let's jump into some news now. I'm just trying to be respectful of time and bedtime and all of that.
I would be remiss if I didn't take at least 20 seconds and mention, as I am somewhat of a PC gamer as well, that on this date in 2004, the original initial release of World of Warcraft came out November 23rd, 2004. It was released on the 10th anniversary of the Warcraft franchise, the first Warcraft coming out in 94.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it was World of Warcraft, the first, before there were expansion packs, the initial release of World of Warcraft was released on the 10th anniversary of the Warcraft franchise. And, having played quite a bit of it, wasn't super engrossed for it for years and years, like a lot of people. It's an amazing world, but that is definitely noteworthy, and wanted to at least mention that because it's a big milestone.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. You pre-ordered it?
Yep. I played the original World of Warcraft. Didn't play any of the expansions, but I played the first. I was a big Blizzard guy in the early 2000s, man. I played Diablo, Diablo 2, StarCraft, Warcraft 2, 3.
Oh, for sure.
I picked the wrong game to try to. I picked the wrong game to try to skip over in this day in gaming history, I guess.
Well, I thought it was at least worth mentioning real quick. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. It's a monumental achievement in MMORPGs for sure, and it's still going today. So,
oh man, yeah. In 2004, someone would ask me in 2020 if people would still be playing that game. I'd be like, "You kidding me?"
Well, I mean, even before that, EverQuest.
Yep, EverQuest was the big one. That
came out in 99.
Yeah, it was way earlier,
and that's technically still going to this day.
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
It's on a few iterations though. I think, like I know there was an EverQuest 2, so they updated some things on the game in a different way than like Warcraft is still the same basic architecture as it was in 2004. They just keep adding quests, tweaking things, updating, things here and there, where the original EverQuest looked like a 90s PC game.
Right, because it was totally.
Yeah, well, I know. That's what I'm saying. And then when EverQuest 2 came out, it came out with a different architecture and graphics set that made it look a lot better. Made it more comparable to something like Warcraft at the time. But yeah, EverQuest was. I never played EverQuest. I had some friends that played EverQuest. I didn't hop into MMOs until World of Warcraft.
I played Star Wars Galaxies very briefly, but it unfortunately, at least at the time, it wasn't nearly as engrossing as it probably should have been. Got very bored running around wherever I was. Tatooine.
Yeah, I played that one too, but I don't think it had the player base. Like I don't think it did well enough. Yeah, it was kind of barren.
It was dull.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Warcraft came out and just kind of took over all of it. Like,
right,
they had every stake in the MMO at the time, and still do for the most part. Really, I think MMO is kind of on the. Well, it seems like it's on the decline of gaming compared. I mean, whenever Warcraft came out, it was just peaking up. Like there was tons of people that were hopping into gaming in general for the first time just to play this game.
Yeah, and the whole concept of playing online with a bunch of different people, that was completely new. That was an entirely new concept. Where now it's almost commonplace. Where if you don't have some kind of, big online presence, it's like, what's the point? Yeah,
and I mean, especially here in the US. I mean, Japan had online gaming for quite a bit longer than we have. Even console gaming, you could get modems for the N64 in Japan. Wasn't very many games that took advantage of it, but they were there. So yeah, whenever that hit really big here, and you really started seeing those spikes. I mean, I just remember people at work talking to me, and they're like, "Hey, I just started playing this game called World of Warcraft. I've never played games before." And I'm like, "What?" It's kind of a deep dive to get into gaming at World of Warcraft, but okay.
So sorry, Dan, that was a much longer tangent than 20 seconds, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
It always is, and it's very important to mention. I'm glad y'all played it. I mean, I'm glad that we were able to have a pretty good discussion about it, because I certainly have no experience with it, but that doesn't mean it's not worth mentioning. So that being said, just one piece of news this week we're going to discuss, because I think it's pretty freaking cool, is this sealed copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES is now the highest selling video game ever sold at auction. The most valuable video game, by any metric, selling for $156,000 at auction.
What?
No. Yes, $156,000. The previous record was a copy of the original Super Mario Bros. For NES sealed, selling for $109,000, something around there, 109 or 119. Here's the thing about this particular copy of Super Mario Bros. 3, because this is not just any old sealed Mario 3. There is a box variant where the word bros is either left justified or right justified. So John has a boxed copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 with the word bros right justified right next to the 3 under the O in Mario. And that's what almost every copy of Super Mario Bros. 3 looks like. This particular copy has the word bros left justified under the M covering Mario's glove. And it was only like the very, very first run of this game. Like, I don't think that there's a number of how many were sold, but it was like a very small number had bros where it is on the one that sold here. And the fact that the condition of it is like a 9.2 out of 10, which is why it was sold for how much it did. This might be the only sealed copy of this variant in the world.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I just looked up a picture of it, and you're right. The bros is on the left side. That's interesting.
That's really why it sold for as much as it did is that one variant, because sealed copies of Super Mario Brothers 3 are not all that difficult to come by.
No, they're
But
not.
This one in particular is just kind of bonkers.
But they didn't. The one that I was showing you, this is from the challenge set, so you couldn't buy this. This is another example of a not for resale game. So,
does the cartridge look different in there, John?
No, it looks the same.
Okay.
It's a funny story. When I bought this, I was at a thrift store, and I walking through there with my kids, and I think I had my in-laws with me or something.
How long ago was this?
3 years ago, I think, ish. And I'm walking along the back side of the store, and there's a bookshelf, and it's full of old books. And the kids are looking through there. There's some like old golden books on the bottom, and tucked behind like one of the books, I see some yellow, and I was like, I wonder what this is. Pull it, and it's Super Mario Brothers complete in the box, like almost mint from the challenge set.
In the book section?
In the book section of a thrift store. So I pull it out and I go up to the front counter, and I'm like, yeah, I want to buy this. It's on the bookshelf. And she kind of looks at it, and she's like, well, this isn't a book. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, well, I'm not going to be able to give you the $2 price that's on the books back there. And I was like, okay, how much? And she goes, well, it's $3. And I was like, all right, fine. Sold.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. It was just cracking me up because it was this old lady, and she's like, well, I can't sell that for $2. It's got to be $3. I was like, whatever, put it in the bag. I'm buying it, type deal. But yeah, it's almost great. It's almost mint. Has the poster, and it still has a styrofoam in it. I mean, it's perfect. Complete.
That's pretty great.
$3.
I still remember getting my copy of Super Mario Brothers 3. I got it for my birthday. I don't remember whatever the year it came out. And my uncle came over on my birthday, and he lived on the same street that we did at the time. And he gave me a kind of largish present that was in, like the clothing box. And so I opened it up, and I was expecting like a shirt or whatever. And it was a pack of underwear. And I was like, when you're a kid and you feign like, oh, thanks. And I picked up the pack of underwear, and underneath the pack of underwear was Super Mario Brothers 3.
That's hilarious.
So he just like throws the underwear off to the side.
I screamed like a girl. I was so excited. I must have been, what year was that?
Mario 3 came out 89, 88?
89? 88, yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it was 88.
Yeah, so I was 6.
Oh, no. In North America was February of 1990.
Oh, wow. It was that late?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's my Super Mario Brothers 3 memory.
Underwear and Mario 3.
So I just thought that was a super cool little tidbit, little story. Super Mario Brothers 3 is now the highest selling video game, and it's only going to go up. So that'll be fun to watch.
Oh, it deserves it.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into our community question this week. Just a little fun, festive question from Andrew from the Nintendo Pals podcast, who is also, again, I gotta say it, they're a really fun podcast. 2 guys chatting about Nintendo Switch stuff. They're really just great guys. Go check them out. Nintendo Pals. He asks, what on your wish? What? Hold on, let me learn to read real quick. What is on your wish lists as far as gaming stuff goes for Christmas?
Yeah, there's an
John,
apostrophe
what's on your
S
wish
on
list?
there.
Yeah.
So on my wish list, I think I was talking to you a little bit about this before we started. I've been trying to catch a deal on a PlayStation VR set because I don't own one yet. So I know this is not retro, but I don't usually get retro stuff for Christmas. It's usually new things, but yeah, that's what I've been looking for. So far, I haven't found any deals.
Yeah, that's my thing too. Is I don't ask for retro stuff for Christmas because it's all like everything I want is either very expensive or like I don't even know how to tell you what I want to make sure you get the right thing. And I'll just buy what I want. Yeah, it's like
that's where I'm at on that.
It's too specific.
Yeah, and that's the thing about gaming too is I don't even know. Nobody in my life really, except for you, Adam, like would know how to look for something if I told them what to get. So it's like, I'll just buy what I want. And then you guys just get me like a cool t-shirt or something, like a Nintendo t-shirt. I'm happy with that. That's fine. So I don't have a list per se.
I'm assuming Gacha Force is on your list, right? Your brother's getting you that?
Every year it's on my list, and every year Santa disappoints.
I got you pretty good this year for your birthday with the original Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube. Black Label Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, which then shot up in price. So I'm very grateful. Very, very grateful for that. And even though Nintendo dropped it on the Switch, I'm still like, no, I got the original and it's a gift and it is never leaving my collection. No, that didn't hurt the value of the GameCube disc.
No, if anything, it went up because of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, okay. So there's one other thing I wanted to do with you guys. I want to try a game. Okay. I want to try out a game. And I call this game Up or Down, and it's based on a game from The Price is Right. So here's how we're going to play. I'm going to give you the title of a game and the condition and the price, in a year in the past. And what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, did this game go up in value or down in value? All right. That's going to be your guess. And if you want to try to guess like how much up or down, you can, but that gets a little too like in the weeds. So we're just going to do up or down for this. And I have 5 games for you guys. Okay.
All right.
So we'll get started, and you can play, listener, you can play at home and let me know on Twitter. Hit me up at Blockfort Retro if you did well or if you did terribly. I'd love to know. So the first game we kept it pretty like well-known games here. So we're just going to start off simple. Super Mario Bros. Duck Hunt for the NES cartridge, cartridge only. The 2015 price is $6. So do you think the 2020 price is up or down?
I'm going to say up slightly.
John says up. Adam says what?
Hold on. So the cartridge with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, right?
Mm-hmm. The cartridge by itself.
That was sold exclusive or outside of the console pack-in?
I don't know.
Am I misunderstanding the game? You're saying so I need to guess whether the price has come up or down from the original price?
No. The price in 2015 was $6.
Oh, if it's okay. So I need to guess whether it's come up or down today
since then
from 2015. Okay.
So what is the 2020 price up or down?
I'm going with up on that one.
Okay, so both of you say up. The 2020 average price for that game is $5. Went down. I tried to be a little tricky with these because it's like obviously most things are going up. So I just wanted to just be a little tricky. So the next game we've got Final Fantasy VII on PS1. Black Label, complete. The 2013 average is $30. What is the 2020 average price?
Down.
Oh, that's
down.
That's definitely come up since then with the remake and just the passage of time and the fact that it's the Black Label and not the green label. I'm going with up. Okay, the 2020 price is $33. Slightly up. Woo!
Since 2013. Okay. All right. Let's get some money up in here. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the PlayStation 2. I went with the disc only price on this one. In 2008, the average price was $95. Is the 2020 price up or down?
I'm going to say up.
John says up.
I feel like you're trying to trick us. Disc only. I'm going to risk going down.
It is down. 2020 price is $98.
I knew it.
Yeah.
How much was tricky. This is other price?
The 2008 price was $95. So these are slight changes.
This is unfair because I've known you your whole life. Sorry. I know when you're trying to pull a fast one.
I'm half dyslexic. The 2020 price is $89. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I said the wrong thing.
It's like you're confusing me here. Come on.
I confused everyone. My bad. 2008 price is $95. It went down in 2020 to $89.
Did the complete in-box price go up or down?
I don't have that information right in front of me, but I can look.
Oh, that's what I'm really curious about. No one cares about the disc-only price.
Well, some people do. Okay, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, complete in box. Okay, I don't have a 2008 price. They didn't start tracking that price until 2013. And the average in 2013 was $35.
What?
Yeah, it had a weird trajectory. It was in the 90s and 80s up until 2009, and then there was a hard drop off, and it was in the 40s and 50s. Then it was in the 20s and 30s, and it slowly started to creep back up in 2015, all the way up to now, which is the complete in-box price averages in 2020 at $110.
So what we've learned today, folks, if anything, is that Capcom games in particular
very valuable.
Are not to be trusted.
No, they're not. Okay, I've got one more for you guys. One more. One more for you. Psychonauts for the Xbox. Complete. The 2013 average price was $17. Do you think the 2020 price is up or down?
I'm going to say down.
Okay.
Let's see if I get all these wrong.
As amazing as that game is and as underappreciated as I feel like it is, it's probably gone down.
So here's the thing about Psychonauts. It's kind of become a bit of a collector's item now because of the sequel coming out. So it's gone up to $32.
Oh, see, I didn't know there was a sequel coming out.
Yes.
If I had known that, I would have gone up. I had no idea there was a sequel coming out.
Yep. It's planned. It's a planned sequel. So I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it, but I know it's coming. And since that announcement, the price has gone up.
Well, you've heard more than me about it because I didn't even know.
So that's a new little game. We're going to try it out a few more times. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, I got all of them wrong.
I don't. That's the thing is it's kind of, you have to kind of know specific things about these specific games. So we're going to try it a few more times in the future and see how well it goes.
Well, it's hard because you're being a jerk about it.
Also I'm a jerk. So maybe next time we'll have John do it because he's less of a jerk. Slightly.
That sounds like a much better plan.
Okay. Also, I just like giving my brother a hard time. So that's going to wrap it up. That's going to about do it for this episode. We're already running into about a 2-hour mark on this episode, and that is just crazy for us. Yeah, it's just so fun. We could just sit here forever. I have a couple pieces of news for what's coming up in the next few episodes of RetroLogic. December is Mega Man Sember around here. What that means is each week in December, we're going to be rolling some dice, 1 through 6, to see which original Mega Man game we're going to be playing. That's going to take the place of Crossplay in the month of December. So, since there are 6 Mega Man games on the NES, we are going to roll the dice and see which of those 6 we're going to play each week. We're going to be kicking it off on episode 10. So next week, we'll finish up Crossplay with Shadows of the Empire and Star Tropics, and we'll be kicking off our Mega Man month.
I like to call it Mega Mandum.
Mega Mandum.
Yes, randomly drawn
Mega Mandum. Mandemonium.
Yes, there you go.
Decemega Man. Decemega Man.
You have to drop the
That's
December.
better.
It doesn't go with anything.
Oh, fine. You're right. And make sure you stick around for episode 11, because episode 11, we're going to have the infamous Marty Estes, the Mega Man Nintendo dad himself, come on and chat with us about some Mega Man. So, with that being said, I also want to thank my brother, Adam. Thank you so much for coming on. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about your latest musical project and how they can find it and listen to it?
Oh my God, really, really quick. So with my, music production and performance that I love to do, I have a new band. We're called We Are Dark Matter. We have a new single that's coming out December 4th. It's going to be on Spotify, iTunes, and all the major streaming services. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or www.wearedarkmatter.com. It's a new band. If you're into dark and angry music, we are right up your alley. I promise you that.
Nice.
It is dark and angry, but it's not like thrashy or like chaotic. It's very methodical.
Well, it's electronic with a little mix of, rock and punk influence. It's a lot of different influences being coalesced into this interesting new thing that we're trying to do. And I think it's going to be really interesting, and I hope people like it. Check it out.
It's super good. I like it very much. So, with that being said, thanks for listening to RetroLogic, the official podcast of Block Fort Retro. If you like what you hear, you can check us out on Twitter at Block Fort Retro. You can also find us on YouTube and Twitch doing streams of old games and stuff like that. John over here is on his Twitch stream at SuperDatFast doing his crossplay stuff, so you can check that out. So if you like giveaways and you like retro games, check out blockfortretro.com and on Twitter. And you can also just send us pictures of your collection or questions for the show. We would love to hear from you. And thanks everyone for listening. And we will see you next week.
Thank you guys for having me. So much fun.
Yeah, see you on the next one.